Hey, chippies, this is Bob Hickman. I'm just getting my groove on here because it's the weekend and the sun is out. I'm telling you, Psychic Bob is worshiping the Sun Lord. I am serious. You know, it's interesting because I used to never be a sun worshiper. I used to only like darkness. I used to like winter. I tell you, this winter made a sun worshiper out of me. It's been so cold here in the eastern U.S. It's now starting to get spring. I'm feeling it and loving it. I want to show you guys here. I just got a new pendant to celebrate my newfound worship of the sun. I'll show you here. This is a really cool kind of pendant. This is actually the Hindu sun god Surya. And you can see him there. It's a sun face. Well, what's interesting is that the Hindus worship the sun, just like many of the other ancient pagan cultures. And there you can see his name is Surya. And this is a really neat pendant. I had it shipped over from India. And it's a combination of copper and silver. When you look at the back, it's kind of silvery and kind of coppery. And in India, they make these really kind of cool, interesting mixed alloy type metals. And this one looks silvery sometimes and coppery, and I kind of like it. So I'm wearing that. I got on my Wiccan shirt. I am worshiping the Sun Lord. Just to show you something else I'm doing, I decided to grab my Giorgio bag. You guys know I love Giorgio cologne. This is my Giorgio bag. It's a vintage 1980s bag. And it's got the beautiful golden, orangish sun color. So I said, I'm going to carry my Giorgio bag today. I'm wearing my Sun Lord pendant. Look what I got in my Giorgio bag. This is some new little cool item I picked up at a flea market. You see that? It's the Sun Lord. And he is made in pure copper. It's kind of hard to see. It's reflecting a lot. But this is a beautiful copper Sun Lord. You can see it. It's made in Turkey. It's not that old. I picked it up at kind of like a flea market, yard sale type thing. But I just love it. I got the Sun Lord with me. And I'm telling you, I'm feeling it. You know, some of you have written and said, Bob, tell me more about Wicca. Tell me about the Lord and the Lady. And we've done a lot of talk here about the goddess. And we're definitely going to always be talking about that. But today I am really in a Sun Lord mode. For those of you who are just starting out, or maybe you've been on the path of on, you've said, you know, Bob, I'm trying to understand the God concept. Well, in Wicca, we believe that the God is the Father of light, that he comes from the goddess and unites with the goddess, and that the two create the universe. And some people say, well, you know, Bob, I've been so abused by traditional religion, I don't want to think about God. All I want to think about is the goddess. I can deal with the goddess. And I say to those people, I understand that. That's okay. Take your time, know the goddess, and in time the God will reveal himself to you. One of the ways that you can actually think about God, though, is instead of thinking of the cruel, patriarchal, domineering God that many of us experience in our Western culture, what if God was the beauty of the sun? What if God could send light to you and blessing? This God, the Sun Lord, is smiling. And I find it interesting that the Sun Lord's image is consistent across cultures. You know, if we look back to the ancient Egyptians, they had a sun god. In fact, I'll put some pictures up here. They worshiped the sun god Horus. Well, actually, the original sun god was Ra. And then Horus took on aspects. So Ra and Horus got merged. So I'll show you a picture of that. And then in time, God became more kind of dehumanized and became a solar disk. He became known as a source of all light, more abstract. But nonetheless, the Sun Lord's energy was honored throughout Egypt. In the ancient Vedic cultures, there was the sun god, and he was known as Surya. And I'm going to put a picture up here of Surya as well. You see, Surya, the Sun Lord Surya, was known to ride in a chariot and travel across the sky, Just like the sun rises in the east, travels across the sky, and sets in the west, so Surya rode his chariot. And Surya is considered one of the principal gods, even to this day, of the Hindu religion. Surya can be in two forms. He can either be a man riding a chariot, or he can be in his kind of solar disk form. And this form is still very popular. It's very interesting because in the Western world, you know, when you go to psychic stores or places where psychics, a lot of times you'll see suns and moons. And I used to always see that and think, I wonder where that comes from. Well, a lot of that comes from, well, it's astrology, which honors the sun as a central character, but it also comes from the ancient pagan traditions where the god was the sun. So I bring this up because for those of you who feel like you can't relate to the god, maybe you want to start with the Sun Lord. Maybe the Sun Lord can open your mind to the masculine aspects. You know, if you wanted to kind of set up a shrine to the Sun Lord to work with him, you know, one of the principal things you want to have is an image, of course, of the Sun Lord. And you don't have to buy a fancy copper one, though this was not actually expensive. But you could have any image of the Sun Lord. You could print out a picture from the internet and put that up. You could make your own sun, you know, image and use that. But the thing is, when we talk about working with the Sun Lord, we want to consider that the God aspect is the masculine energy and is in complement to the goddess. The sun and the moon, you see, it's a duality. So for those of you who say, well, I don't want anything to do with God, I left that behind, that's okay. But maybe down the road you want to explore this and consider the power of the sun. For those of you who are interested in working with the Sun Lord, some of the traditional metals are brass, gold, and also, like I have, copper. These are considered sun metals. They're warm, they're energetic, they're like the sun. And like my pendant here, it's made with copper. Okay, now silver is mixed in, and silver is usually a moon metal. But it's interesting because, again, we have the duality of the moon metal and the sun metal. So it's like the Lord and the Lady are contained in this pendant. And so that's another way you can think about it. So now, you know, the ancients, as I said, many of the cultures had the Sun Lord. We talked about the Egyptians. We've got the Hindu culture. The ancient Greeks and Romans had the god Sol. Sol is where we get our word solar, like solar energy. Well, Sol was the sun god. And in ancient Rome, the emperor loved the sun god, and he even proclaimed him to be the primary deity at one point. And his name was Sol Invictus, which means the unconquered sun. And like the Roman Empire, who was supposed to reign forever, the sun god, you know, was their symbol. Well, you know, I tell you, the sun god, being eternal, is still here, still reigning. And Roman Empire may not have made it, but the sun god's eternal. So they were smart to at least recognize that aspect of him. Anyways, also when you talk about worshiping the sun, you know, these days the sun gets a lot of bad press. A lot of people are saying, oh, you know, stay out of the sun, use SPF 600. It's true that because of environmental damage, our natural relationship with the sun has to be altered. In the ancient times, people could go in the sun, they weren't so damaged. But now because of, you know, environmental pollution, thinning of the ozone layer, we have to be more careful in our relation with the sun. But just because you can't actually be in the sun as much as you want doesn't mean you can't bring the sun to you. And that's why I say create a solar shrine. You know, find an image that speaks to you of the sun and let it talk to you. You know, one of the greatest ways to honor the Sun Lord is to go out and watch the sunrise. I don't know how many of you have ever actually gotten up and watched the sun come over the horizon. But you know, I first time I saw it, I was a kid, and I'll never forget it because it's just like, it blazes, and it's very mystical and very powerful. The ancients built temples to this, and many people speculate that Stonehenge is connected to the rise of the sun as well as the alignment of the planets. So I think there's something there as well. So, you know, but you don't have to go to Stonehenge or to ancient Egypt. You just have to go out into a place where you can face east and watch the sunrise. If you're going to set up a solar shrine, you might want to build it in an eastern wall of your home, you know, so that you're directly facing that energy. If you can have your sun shrine in an area where you have a window and you can actually watch the sunrise, that's even better. Unfortunately, my house faces west, so I can't watch the sunrise. But I can watch the sunset, and that's the other aspect. If you can't watch the sunrise, you can worship the Sun Lord through the sunset. Now, I know some of you scientific-minded people say, oh, come on, Bob, this is stupid. Everybody knows the sun is nothing but a big ball of fire. We're not denying that, okay? Science has shown that the sun is not a god. It's just a ball of fire. But the energy that is connected with the sun, there's a spiritual force. That's the sun god. So the sun, we recognize, modern reality, it's fire. But the force, there's a spirit connected to that, which is the sun god. So you can still believe in the sun god and believe in modern science. Doesn't have to be a conflict. Anyways, guys, I just want to come here, share this thought with you. I'm going to wear my solar pendant. I got my Sun Lord, Copper Sun. I'm going to go put him up here. I'm going to actually think I'm going to build a shrine somewhere in my office here. I got to rearrange this, but I'm excited to get my Copper Sun. Isn't that just beautiful? I probably have to polish him one of these days, but whoever sold him to me, they had him already polished. I think he looks great. So, anyways, if you're looking to think about how to connect the God back into your life, you might want to explore the Sun Lord. You can call him Surya from the Hindu tradition. You can call him Apollo from the Greek and Roman tradition, or Sol. Sol was the original, and then Apollo. You can just call him Sun God. You can call him Aten. Aten's the solar disk. Doesn't matter what you call him. Just attune to that energy. Bring it into your life. Let it revitalize you, and let it bring balance back to your worship. I'm so glad you guys are here. Listen, keep it here at Spiritual. This week, I promise we'll have messages from the spirit world. Psychic Bob's been a little behind, but we're going to be catching up. So I'm glad you're with me. Sending blessings to all of you. And tell me, give me some comments in the box below. Have you ever worshiped the Sun Lord? What's your thoughts about that? Thumbs up. And if you're new, subscribe. I'd love you to be part of Spirit Channel. Guys, I'm so glad you're here. I send you my blessings, and we'll see you soon.